It's only 18.
We can, Ms. Dhammika.
Good afternoon and good day, esteemed participants, and warm welcome to the webinar on evaluation approach and frameworks. I'm Dhammika Peiris, a member of Academic Committee of SLEvA, and I have the honor of moderating today's session. So we anticipate the session will last approximately 30 minutes, and there will be 15-20 minutes for the question time. Please ensure your microphone are muted to maintain the clarity or auditability, and there will be time for your question, and you can post your question in your chat box. And before introducing the speaker, I would like to invite Mr. Jinendra Kothalawala, President of SLEvA, to present opening remarks. Thank you. Jinendra, over to you.
Thanks, Ms. Dhammika, for giving me the opportunity for having opening remarks for today's webinar. The SLEvA was established in 1999, almost 26 years ago, to address the need for developing establishment of an evaluation culture in Sri Lanka. Our memberships include a wide cross-section of professionals from academia, international agencies, non-governmental agencies, public as well as private sectors. The vision of SLEvA is a promotion of an evaluation culture in the country. So we have different objectives to achieve the vision, including to promote the evaluation as a key element in the development process, to contribute to better management of development process in Sri Lanka, as well as to promote transparency and accountability in government and non-governmental development organization in the processes. So, as one of our key SLEvA team, the academic and capacity building team is having various initiatives to empower SLEvA members, potential members, and the general public and our stakeholders on various aspects of evaluation with the aim of instilling in evaluation culture in society and enhancing professionalism in the field. We had in this year a few webinar series, and this is the third one in 2025. Around 110 registered participants got registered for the this webinar series from various countries, sectors, and with the different evaluation experiences. So while thanking them, I would like to continue with the proceeding to Ms. Dhammika.
Thank you. And this is my privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker, Professor Madam Hemanthi Ranasinghe, Senior Academic of Department of Forestry and Environmental Sciences, University of Sri Jayawardenapura. And she's a senior professional with over 35 years extensive experience in the field of evaluation, national level assessment, and diverse environmental studies and consultancies. And also she is a member of several prominent professional bodies and provides services as a member of governing bodies and councils of several entities. And also she is serving as a co-chair of IUCN Commission on Ecosystem Management South Asia. Also recognition of excellence is named and Professional Women of the year 2000 by the Women Chambers of Commerce. Professor Hemanthi will share the insights on evaluation approach and framework today. Please join me welcoming her to this virtual stage. Professor Hemanthi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Dhammika, for that very excellent introduction. Actually, I'll be talking about the evaluation approaches and frameworks today. And if I may give a brief small one or two sentences about why evaluation is important to our lives. Actually, not only evaluation, but monitoring and evaluation serve as vital compass points in life's journey, guiding our personal growth and professional success through systematic feedback. They transform random experiences into meaningful data, allowing us to make evidence-based decisions rather than just relying on assumptions. By measuring progress and identifying areas for improvement, these practices empower us to intentionally shape better futures and maximize our potential in all endeavors. So its evaluation is really very essential component in our lives. So let's see. I'd like to show this detailed presentation, which I'll be covering what is evaluation, the benefits of evaluation, the monitoring versus evaluation, because we always talk about these two and it goes together, but it has very distinct meanings. And then what is the evaluation framework? Because the topic also is evaluation approaches and framework. So what is a framework? Then what is the evaluation process? And in that process, of course, we have these instruments like evaluation criteria, evaluation types, evaluation approaches. Stakeholder consultation is very much important. And what are the challenges in evaluation and what are the solutions? So, I mean, in the given 30 minutes of time, I'll try to do justice to this topic. So, if I talk about this, what is evaluation? The definition of evaluation is a systematic collection and analysis of information to make judgments about context, activities, characteristics, or outcomes of one or more domains. Yes. Next one. Next slide, please. So the benefits of evaluation is it provides evidence for decision making. Like I said earlier at the very onset, I mean, this is a feedback. I mean, just you go along the journey and you just take a minute to look back. So when you do that, what happens? It provides evidence for decision making, whether you're on track, whether you have really achieved your objectives or on the path of achieving your objectives. It ensures accountability, improves program effectiveness, and informs future planning. So that I'll take an example. I'll be using an example throughout so that you will be able to comprehend it much better. Yes. Next slides, please. I mean, please send this slide decks once I finish. So the monitoring versus evaluation, I mean, these two have very core differences. So the monitoring is the continuous process. Like I said, we are on a journey, so we just want to know whether we are really on track. And tracks day-to-day activities. It is, I mean, more regular checking, and focuses just like, I mean, you get up in the morning and you may have few activities to do in your list, and by the time you go to bed, maybe you'll take a minute to review whether how many activities you have achieved and how many you have not, which you had planned when you got up, and why. I mean, and not that just, okay, I have only achieved 75% and 25% I have not, but, and please go back to the slide because I was explaining it. Go back to it. Okay. So, but why? Why couldn't I achieve 25%? Okay, so something like that. And so that it focuses more on the outputs and identifies deviations as to why and ask, are we on track? But when it comes to evaluation, periodic assessment, it's not happening every day. Maybe like certain points of the cycle. Maybe at the very start, maybe halfway through, and perhaps when it's over, and analyzes the effectiveness. I mean, have we made a difference? Focuses on the outcomes and the impact mostly. Examines cause and effects, and just to what monitoring is asking is, are we on track? Whereas what the evaluation is asking is, are we making a difference? I mean, this intervention, has it made a difference? So, I mean, that's the difference between two, but both are very important when it comes to tracking your progress and tracking your outcome and impacts. Next one. So this is actually a results chain. I mean, results chain is for any activity, let's say a project, I mean, you have to have inputs like resources, maybe funding, maybe human resources, technical equipment. I mean, those are resources. And with that, what you do, you transform them into activities. And then with these activities, what happens is that you have certain objectives to start with in a project. And so whether these activities had been realized, those are called outputs. That is when the project is over. And then after some time, I mean, maybe not only the direct realization, but maybe attitudinal changes could happen towards having a lasting impact. So in between, we count on outcomes and finally the impact. So actually, this is the results chain, and monitoring happens only until the project is ended. And the evaluation happens, it can happen at the earlier stages also, but usually the importance of evaluation is after the project, to see whether what we wanted to achieve has been achieved, and whether we have made a difference to a community or to a system by having this project. Next one. So the evaluation framework is how you do it. The process of doing that. That is, if you want to do an evaluation, what would you do? First, you will define the purpose. That is why evaluate and what to include. The scope. That is, if you have several components of a project, whether you can evaluate all of them, or you will concentrate on one or two, at that moment, because it has more data. That is what you really want, So that's what it is. Then, of course, once you have decided on the scope and that you want to evaluate, then you have to develop evaluation questions. Answers will provide what you want to know. So what the evaluation needs to answer, you need to know. And then, of course, the criteria is there's DUC criteria, which is relevance, effectiveness, efficiency, impact, and sustainability. So based on the project and also based on the stage of the project, whether it is still an ongoing one or whether it's completed, and several years had passed. So based on all that, you can select the evaluation criteria. Then you choose the methods because you need to collect data scientifically. So the data collection needs approaches. You know that this is the criteria against which you will evaluate, and how you do it is called the types and approaches. Then, of course, you have done all that. You have analyzed the data. You have come up with findings. Then you have to submit the findings to the client and they need to use the findings. Next one. So actually, I would like to walk you through a case study so that you will be able to comprehend this concept better. So this is the case study of this water board, National Water and Sanitation Board, that we just call it water board. So so they have come up with this project because even now, but in few years back, I mean, this problem of chronic kidney disease unidentified was really taking a lot of attention nationally, because many were getting affected and many were dying because, and then the reasons, I mean, scientists did a lot of research to find reasons for that. And it was found that water, the hardness of the water, there is calcium, magnesium, fluoride in the water, is one of the major significant factors for this. So because in these areas, the groundwater, the water is supplied by groundwater, and they had this Kuhl effect or the hardness. So the water board decided to do the cleaning of the water of these the elements which produce the hardness, and mostly the reverse osmosis technology. So what you could see here is that they establishing these reverse osmotic plants and then supplying the water to the communities. Next one. So the context of this project is that CKDU has affected many parts of Sri Lanka, including North Central Province, with groundwater hardness like calcium, magnesium, fluoride, and contaminants identified as significant contributing factors, just like I mentioned earlier. And 72% of the North Central Province residents relied on groundwater, and CKDU, that is chronic kidney disease unidentified, was prevalent and reached about 15 to 23% in worst affected areas. This is the, by 2010. So the water board implemented a large-scale reverse osmosis water purification project to address this crisis, so that it will be able to supply clean water to the communities with the financial assistance of Asian Development Bank and also some other donors. Next one. Next one. So the details of this project, I'm just taking a small example of a project, 2010 to 2024, and they have the input, the total amount of this particular project is $300 million US, and with RO technology, that is reverse osmosis technology. And how it happens is because it's a loan, so 20% has to be borne by the government anyway, and 80 will be this loan. And activities will be installing 1,200 plus RO plants and 10 million liters per day production, and outcomes reduced hard water consumption. I mean, that is the expectation, and the impact would be that CKDU prevalence will be reduced by using this water. Next one. So if we draw a theory of change for this one, the inputs are actually this funding, and then the RO technology and community organization, because we need to have community participation, or otherwise this will not work. And the activities are the installing of these RO plants, 1,200 RO plants, water quality monitoring, and community training, because you need to train the communities to run this the process. because water board will, if water board will do it continuously, then there won't be any sustainability. And the outputs are like the 10 million liters per day production of this clean water. And then how many users will, to be served? 500K users served. And outcome is a little further, reduce the hard water consumption. So people get used to it because people obviously have to buy this water, but at a very, very low concessional rate. And the rate at that time was rupees 100 per cubic meter. But still, people have to have this awareness that, water, clean water is essential, and you need to buy that one. And also not only to drink, but even to cook, you need to have that water. So the change of attitudes and you people using more and more clean water and improved those were the outcomes, which really the impact was that CKDU prevalence reduced. So finally, that's the expectation that these North Central provinces CKDU disease prevalence reduced. Next one. So the monitoring in this context will track RO plant installation numbers, like you say, okay, this number, are we on track? 1,200 RO plants, you have a time frame also to do that, and the money allocated. So are we doing right? Are we on track? And the operational status. So monitoring will do that. And evaluation will provide evidence of the effectiveness of the RO plants in reducing. Finally, evaluation will be always tagged with the outcome, output, outcome, and impact. You brought this project actually to reduce the prevalence of CKDU. Is it happening? Did it happen from this project? That's the most important one, because you have to be accountable for everything, including the loan and the money from both the government as well as Asian Development Bank also. So, we need to see whether the expectation was realized. So the evaluation process was, like I said earlier, the defining of the evaluation purpose, and then select evaluation criteria, formulate evaluation questions, then choose evaluation methods, then you collect data, and then you analyze the results and draw conclusions. But the clients need to use it. If somebody is not using it, it will be a waste. So evaluations are done to use the information, maybe in similar projects in the future. Next one. So the key evaluation criteria are like relevance, effectiveness, efficiency, impact, and sustainability. So the relevancies, was the project aligned to identified needs? Yes. So in this context, definitely yes, because the project came because there was this gaping need to reduce the incidence of CKDU, and water had been identified as a very significant culprit. Then effectiveness, did it achieve its objectives? Efficiency, were the resources used optimally? Impact, what changes occurred as a result? And sustainability is, will benefits continue after project completion? Next one. Next one, please. So this, where the results shown these criteria is most optimal, that is, not that it cannot be used elsewhere, but where it is most optimal is that while the project is still on, like from the input to the output, you use efficiency, because efficiency is very relevant there. just like, you have your salary at the end of the month, and then at the end of the next month, whether you have optimally spent it. So that is very important, whether you have really borrowed from all over the place and then you're in the minus. You have to know. So while the project is on, whether you have used the resources by way of human resources, technical resources, as well as financial resources as planned is efficiency. But if you say, oh my God, the project, I need more time because I could not finish. I need more money. Then of course, there could be valid reasons also, but then, efficiency is in question there. So effectiveness is ideally like up to the end of the output. That is because effectiveness is always tagged with the objectives. You bring a project with certain objectives, and whether these objectives are realized is effectiveness. But you can, go a little further also. But impact definitely is after, because impact is after the project is completed, after even some time gone, to see whether actually, whether there's an impact. One can say that you can have the impact, while the project is on also. That is, so of course, like to see whether this is going, the impact that you expect is happening even now. But then the impact that you expect is really after the project. So ideally, it should be after the outcomes even. And sustainability is throughout, and relevance is throughout. So, these are some of these guidelines for how to use this criteria. So in the water project, for example, relevance definitely yes, addressing high CKDU areas. So yes, effectiveness is harnessing harness removal. That is whether what's the percentage of removal that this technology did in removal of this hardness in the water. Then efficiency is that, how efficient had the project been, the cost effectiveness, and also what's the cost of the water. If it is exorbitantly high, then of course it's not that efficient. And sustainability is maintenance challenges, energy cost, and whether even after the project will be able to sustain by communities themselves. And impact is the reduction of the CKDU prevalence. Next one. So, this of course just based on this project, the relevance is some questions could be, to what extent did the RO water purification project address the CKDU issue of North Central Province? Then effectiveness would be, did the RO plants consistently achieve their technical specifications? That is the removal of hardness, what is the percentage? And then across all installations in all the plants that they installed. And then what percentage of the target population regularly consumed the purified water? So even if you had established all these fancy RO plants, if people had rejected it or had not used it, then there's no use. The idea is for them to use and get well. So we can factor that one in too. Efficiencies were the 1,200 made operational within the planned period. And then the impact is, how have the renal health markers translated to changes in quality of life and healthcare cost? So how many have now having issues? Now, if it is significantly less, then there is a marked impact, and also marked impact on the healthcare cost also. And sustainability is, how financially viable is the program given the high energy cost. And at this time, they say 45% of the operating budgets are for energy. And the membrane fouling issues are also there, like 37% of the plants are having this clogging because of this accumulated heavy metals. So we have to get over that, or otherwise people will just, not use it in the future. Okay, next one. So when we come to the evaluation types, based on the project and based on the stage of the project, there is these evaluation types. Define what is being evaluated and when in the process, and focus on the purpose, timing, and objective of the evaluation. Then evaluation approaches is the methodology that you would use. That is, describe how the evaluation is conducted and under what philosophical framework, and focus on methodology values and conceptual frameworks. Next one. So the evaluation types, like I said again, categorize what is being evaluated and when the evaluation occurs in the project or program cycle, based on the timing of the project and the focus and the purpose. Next one. So the types, few types, there are a lot of types, but I just would like to mention few types. Ex-ante evaluation is actually the assessment conducted before implementation to determine the feasibility, potential impact, and appropriateness. And formative evaluation is also very closely goes with that, where the evaluation is done either at the very initial stages or while at the initial stages of implementation, because the idea is to provide the feedback for improvement, because there's so much time to go. So if you do an evaluation at the earlier stages, then if there are any deviations, then you can correct it. So midterm evaluation is assessment at the halfway point of implementation to make course corrections still. That is almost like halfway. And summative evaluation is assessment at the end of the program. That is once the project is over, or to determine overall effectiveness or achievement. And ex post is also that is, it is done once the project or program is over. Next one. So these are actually just diagrammatic representation of where it is. Just like I said, project start and midpoint, you do formative evaluation, and then summative evaluation is really towards the end. So the purpose of the formative evaluation is improved during implementation. During project implementation, focus is on the process, activities, and early outputs. And what you will ask is, are activities being implemented as planned? And what challenges are being encountered? And how can implementation be improved? But by the time you finish it, which is summative evaluation, it is to assess the overall achievement. And after project completion, focus is outcomes, impact, and effectiveness. And the key questions will be, were project objectives achieved? What outcomes, impacts were realized? And should the project be continued or scaled up? Now that there's nothing to do with the project, whether, if there's a next phase or even the continuation of this project even, should we do it? Is it worth doing that? And whether it can be scaled up to other areas also. Next one. So like I said, the types are the timing, but then the methodology is approaches. And that describes how the evaluation is conducted and the underlying methodology or philosophy. And they present the conceptual framework and methods used to design and implement evaluations. Next one. So these are some of these approaches, not all. Goal-based approach means there's always, what to expect, what is the goal. So evaluates performance against predetermined objectives. So when we design a project, you know what is to be expected, and you have a target. So there's a logical framework like I showed earlier. So you know what you want, and then you know the inputs, the activities, then the outputs, and then outcomes and impacts. Sometimes that's goal-free. Goal-free means, I mean, you have started it without like this tsunami project. I mean, you know, this tsunami just happened. So you need to perhaps you did some tsunami rehabilitation work, and you need, but it changed so much as you went along, but you needed to know, I mean, the outcome of it and the impact. So that it's goal-free, examines the actual outcomes without reference to the stated objectives. Then utilization-focused approach is design evaluations to maximize usefulness for intended users, so that you will be using the stakeholders and mostly the people who will use this evaluation even in the evaluation. And participatory approach is also quite similar, like involves stakeholders throughout the evaluation process from design to dissemination. So that it's not that, you know, somebody just vanishes and do the evaluation and come back after some time, but this is very lively and just ongoing and very like happening. Theory-based approaches examines the underlying theories and assumptions of programs, also called theory of change or program theory evaluation, which you saw, I showed the diagram. So, I mean, whether the expectation on, of yours from the inputs, the activities, the objectives, and the outputs has happened. So, I mean, that you will test the outputs against the theory of change. Next one. So this is a theory-based approach. I showed this diagram earlier. So just to say, I mean, whether things are happening or happen accordingly. Next one. So it is very important to have, whatever approach you do, stakeholder involvement is very important. Otherwise, you will miss a lot of things, because stakeholders means, I mean, you know, whoever, maybe the at the policy making level, at the implementation level, government, non-government, maybe the communities. You have to identify, you have to really do a good stakeholder mapping, and then you have to include them in the evaluation. That means actually even in the development of the TOR, so that you don't miss any item that needs to be evaluated. And then once they evaluate also, I mean, they may need help, so that stakeholder involvement, like they come and make presentations, progress presentations, and the stakeholders, maybe in technical working groups, will help them steer their way, so that the final outcome will be really, you know, participatory and really very realistic. Next one. So, so evaluation, for example, the stakeholders in this water project would be the government of Sri Lanka, then not the World Bank, actually the Asian Development Bank, and then the Water Board, who's the implementer, then local communities, without whom, I mean, the project will not be successful, and also the healthcare professionals. So they will provide you the information as to, I mean, whether the CKDU has reduced, because they are the people who are treating these deceased people. So, I mean, maybe even a little bit more, but then I thought that these are actually very essential as stakeholders. So another thing is, which is important, is evaluability assessment. That is, you need to do an evaluation, but then, well, you need data. So you have to know that, you know, the data and information is available, that's been collected in this project to make concerted outcomes and decisions. So if it is not, then of course, it is not really useful to do an evaluation. So it determines if an evaluation is feasible and worthwhile conducted before a full evaluation, just to see whether, do you have enough information to do evaluation and make decisions? Which really is clarity of objectives, availability of data, resource availability, and stakeholder readiness. So, a lot of things, for example, like you have a project where there's so many components, or even this particular water project you might have in about 5 provinces, but you have only limited amount of money. And also you have not really collected proper data in all the provinces, but only few. There's no point in including all the 5 provinces, but you need to decide, okay, what are the provinces, or at least even one province that you will concentrate on. So that decision is being taken by doing an evaluability assessment. Next one. So the findings, for example, like the water board project, they found that they had been efficient in removing hardness. It's 95.8% of the hardness was removed in water, and they had produced 1,000 to 5,000 liters per unit per day. And the recovery rate of the water, that is, you clean it and then you recover them, had been, between 19.4 to 64% per plant, and successfully reduced the hardness to safe levels. But they had problems. That is, 37% of the plants encountered membrane fouling due to congestion. That is, when you remove these sediments, it gets congested, and then the filters get congested. So, there was a technical issue there. And energy cost is also high. That is, takes a lot of energy, maybe the 45% of the operating budget. So these are very important information that they have procured by doing this evaluation. Next one. And also, but they found that the project contributed to improve the renal health markers of the people, and also they were able to provide affordable water at the rate of ₹100 per 1,000 liters, or they call it cubic meters, and people were willing to buy them. The adoption rates were quite high. So overall, the project had been successful. Next one. So, but they had challenges also, which they realized in these evaluations, that one thing, of course, that the membrane fouling, that because 37% of the plants experience membrane fouling, and so they have to change the technology a little bit in the future. And also because 45% of the operating cost goes to energy consumption, some kind of solution has to be met to this, because water board cannot be expected to run this forever. There has to be some kind of community participation in this one. And also what they have found is, when you train the community then to run the plants, the RO plants, then with the training, the downtime is improved. That is, they are more efficient in running the show when you train them. So that also is an important lesson they learned. Next one. Next one, please. So these are the usual challenges in evaluation, like I mentioned earlier, inadequate baseline data. That is, you do an evaluation, but you don't have a baseline data. So, for example, I did an evaluation of when tsunami struck the coastline. So I did an evaluation on how the plants are doing. That is after about 3 or 4 months. So what are the plants which are most affected? What are the plants which are least affected? Because the idea was that the least affected ones we will use to make this buffer zone. That was also proposed, but it didn't materialize. But we did not, although there's biodiversity assessment in the country, we did not have information on the biodiversity and the type of plants in those particular locations. So no baseline. but we still, did the work. So limited evaluation capacity, resource constraints, like I mentioned earlier, political considerations, timing issues. Maybe like too late. The project has finished, and now after 5 years, you think of doing an evaluation. It's very difficult to procure this information after so long. And also attribution and contribution is, if a project is very clear-cutting, even like this water board project, maybe, but maybe like some other, or even
Hemanthi, time is due.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm almost complete. I just a few slides more. So the attribution is that whether the impact is made only from this project or from other projects operating in that area. So you have to make that delineation as to this impact from this particular project. That is called attribution. Next one. And so always challenges need solutions. So inadequate baseline data, of course, we had to reconstruct baseline using secondary data and implement retrospective pre-testing and use comparison groups before they are feasible. So, and then limited evaluation capacity, provide targeted trainings to staff, resource constraints, focus on priority questions only, leverage existing data collection systems. So try to use secondary data as much as possible. And then of course, wherever it's really important, you to collect the primary data. And attribution versus contribution, apply contribution analysis techniques are there to find the real impact of this particular project. There are techniques to do it, you need to do it. And political considerations, engage stakeholders early in the design so that there won't be any protest. And timing issue, build evaluation into the project timeline. So when a project is being developed, build evaluation into it so that, and you can effectively budget also for the evaluation so that there won't be any last minute hiccups. Next one. So that's it. Yes, so I hope you got some idea about evaluation.
Thank you, Professor Hemanthi, for the enlightening and very informative presentation. And we don't have much time, only 8 minutes ahead. But we can go for the question. I think we don't have much question, only the one comment from Professor Dr. Kamal, and is regarding the not directly for the evaluation, but also the some attributions in related to your case study. You have used a very impressive case study to explain the concepts of evaluation framework and approach. Only one question we can answer, but within 1-2 minutes. And I just can explain the question. How do you address attribution challenges in evaluation, particularly when the multiple factors might influence outcome like CKDU mitigation project evaluation?
Yes, that is actually the toughest one. But you have to know, like, what are for example, the CKDU example, you have to know what are the other projects which are operating in the area. And then you have to do an evaluation of them also a little bit. What are they offering? And then, what is the outcome of it? And then, because it's not only yours, but then similar ones, you need to test them separately. And then perhaps if you think that their contribution from your findings, you might come up, say their contribution is 40% and your contribution is 60%. That is your attribution. Your attribution is 60%. But you need to individually study the other projects which are similar, which are really aiming at the same outcome, and then study them and try to find the contribution percentage.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there any other question can post it? now. And other than that, we can go ahead with final step of the webinar. And I'd like to express, I'd like to invite Sandamali for thanking note. And before that, I just like to thank everyone and the guest speaker, the valuable insight, and also the case study, explanation, everything. And especially appreciate the participant for their engagement and active engagement and attendance, and gratitude can be extended for all attendees. And over to you, Sandamali, for thanking words.
Thank you, Ms. Dhammika, and thank you very much for our speaker, Professor Hemanthi Ranasinghe, not only for delivering today's speech, but even heading our subcommittee, academic subcommittee in the SLEvA. So with your guidance, we were able to complete third webinar here today. And thank you very much for our great moderator, Ms. Dhammika. You were like doing moderation very nicely, putting up the questions and even like thinking about the time duration so that the participants won't be like stayed for a long time. And then I would like to thank Mr. Jinendra, our SLEvA president, always like being with us, not only for like organizing this webinar series, but even supporting us to do the dry run. So he's like taking his time, giving his time for us. And I would like to thank our SLEvA coordinator, Pasidu. He's like supporting us with the administration processes, even pulling up PowerPoint presentation slides, templates, and compiling those slides that we are giving like from different format. Thank you very much. And at last, but certainly not the least, participants, thank you very much for connecting with us. I see like some of the participants has been connecting with us from day one, from January, from the webinar 1 onwards. Thank you very much for trusting us, keeping faith on us. And we will be looking forward for your participation for the April webinar as well, webinar 4. I'm not sure whether we have a flyer for that webinar, but it will be something that we will be talking about how to apply this information that we gather from monitoring and evaluation, which has been covered by Professor Hemanthi in a point as well, to use this information for the betterment of the project. So usage, excuse me, usage and using information findings, monitoring findings or the evaluation findings for the decision-making processes would be discussed in next webinar series. So thank you very much again.
Thank you. And all the participants, you will receive a recording of this webinar in YouTube. Now, I think, is that right, Pasindu? Yeah, we will get a webinar in YouTube in future. In the same way, we will organize some of the webinar and let you know on future webinars. And I hope you also will attend on all the future sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.